I just wanna give you all my night, but you are not here, my lover.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a tutorial with the Essence I'm With the Band palette. So if you'd like to see how I got this look, just keep on watching. So I started in with the shade Purple Rain, which is obviously a purple, and I went in with the Wet n Wild blending brush, and I'm using a light hand because they didn't have a lighter shade of purple in the palette, and I wanted it to be a nice gradient, so I'm doing a light wash, and then I'm going to be gradually building it up. And I have to say that just like the Spice Up Your Life palette, I'm actually pretty impressed with this palette. This color, purples and blues tend to be either a hit or a miss for some brands, and this blended out nicely. It built up nicely along with the other colors I'll be using. And I'm sorry that the beginning here is a tad blurry. It does write itself when I start adding on other colors. I just didn't realize that I was out of focus here. But I'm also putting it onto the outer and inner corners of my eye because I'm going to be doing a halo eye with this look.
Only got a constellation of stars, dancing with the clouds, just messing around. I try to
And then this right here is where I'm starting to build up the purple just a little more. I didn't want it to go too deep because I am going to be adding the darker blue shade.
imagine what tomorrow hides, if we will be here together, if we will continue writing lines of the story we just started to write.
Next, I went in with the blue shade, which is called Chasing Waterfalls, using a defining crease brush. And when you mix blue and purple, you essentially get like a darker purple. So like when it blends together, it'll look like a darker bluish purple. And then I do end up packing it on later to make it more intense on the blue side. But yes, I'm just putting this into my crease and then on my inner and outer corners. And then when I did end up blending this, it kind of seemed to make the color soften and not look as vibrant. But then it does build up, like once you blend it once and then build it up and then blend again, it does stay pigmented. It just needed a little more work. And I personally don't mind that because it did end up looking really nice. And this is a very inexpensive palette, so I think it's definitely worth it. It didn't go patchy on me or anything.
Pages in my bed, I'm waiting for your beauty tonight. I need to understand.
And you could see right here how like the blue is kind of starting to fade just a tad bit because I am blending. But then once I pack it on again later, you will see that it's really nice and vibrant. And then I also wanted to mention that this look actually lasted a very long time in my eyes. I don't think I mentioned in my Spice Up Your Life palette video how long it lasted, and it lasted all day as well. So these have a good longevity to them.
We will meet again to write the pages in my bed. I'm waiting for your beauty tonight. I need to understand.
So now I'm just going back in with Chasing Waterfalls and building up that color.
If we will meet again. If we will meet again. If we will meet again. Life is happening, building my luck. Now I'm living what I dreamed. All the goals I had since I was child are bringing colors every day to my.
And then I had cut the center of my lid off camera, and then I went back in with Chasing Waterfalls to bring back the blue that I'd put concealer over, and then blend it into the concealer so that's a nice smooth gradient.
Life, it doesn't matter everything I've got. If I'm alone, it ain't worth nothing. I just remember meeting you at Bangkok, and the story we just started to write.
Next, I am going into the shade Wannabe. This is a shimmery blue. It's pretty similar to the matte blue. And I'm using this because I wanted it to go from blue to like the shimmery blue to the lighter color that I'm going to be using. So I'm just using a flat shadow brush and I'm patting that right along the edges of Chasing Waterfalls.
Just in my bed, I'm waiting for your beauty tonight. I need to understand if we will meet again.
And then I went into the shade Californication. This is like a icy purple shimmer color. And I popped this on the center of my lid. And as you can see, that I did do the blue and kind of like a V-shaped halo eye. And so I'm first just tapping that onto the concealer that is still open, and then I'm starting to tap it onto the shade Wannabe so that it helps blend together. And if you have seen my previous videos, you know I am pretty much a stickler for blending shadows together. I really want it to be super smooth, as best to my abilities that I could do it. So I go a lot of back and forth in between patting it on, blending, flip-flopping back and forth between colors. And then I'm using the shade Where Is My Mind, which is a black. And now this color, it's not like a super pigmented black, but it did do the job. I'm using just the smallest amount of the shade on a very small Luxie blending brush because I didn't want it to go too smoky. I wanted the blue and the purple to really stand out. I just wanted to add a tiny bit more depth.
The pages in my bed are waiting for your beauty tonight. I need to understand.
And then one thing I wanted to note is that this shade had like a lot more kick up than all of the other shades in the palette, so that is something you probably should consider if you want to buy it. And then I went back in with the shade Chasing Waterfalls on a BS Small liner brush, and I'm just running that along the shimmer shades to help give it a little more definition and make it look a little more clean and crisp.
If we will meet again.
And then starting in on my lower lash line, I went in with the shade Purple Rain on an e.l.f. Eyeshadow, like a flatter eyeshadow brush. It's not like super dense. It's kind of slightly fluffy. I don't know. I don't think it has a specific name. I think it just said eyeshadow brush on it. And then using that same brush, I used the shade Chasing Waterfalls and ran it closer to my lower lash line.
If we will meet again.
And then I decided to finish off my base on camera, so I went in with the e.l.f. bronzer palette, taking this shade and the Wet n Wild fluffy angled face brush, and I just used that to bronze up my cheekbones. And then I went in with the e.l.f. blush palette, and I took this cooler toned blush, and I used the Royal and Langnickel Moto Pro pointed blush brush. And since my eyes are cool tones, I wanted to keep my cheeks kind of cool toned.
If we will meet again.
And then I went in with this shade from the e.l.f. contour palette, and I used the Luxie Precision foundation brush for this step, and I just used that to carve out my cheekbones and my jawline. This is not like a brush that I would necessarily use for foundation, so I just like to find different ways to repurpose things that I can't use for what they're, told that they're for. And then I'm going in with the Wet n Wild highlighter. This is from their new collection, the Fire and Ice collection. This is in the shade Winter Falls in LA. And this is like a icy white color with blue. And I thought it matched pretty well with this look. I hadn't used it before, and it's very beautiful. I definitely recommend, if you like colored highlighters, to pick this up if it matches your skin tone well. And then the final new thing I'm using is the Wet n Wild Metallic Liquid Catsuit Lipstick. This is in the shade Icing on the Wall. This is also from the Wet n Wild Fire and Ice collection. And this shade did require 2 coats to be fully opaque and not so streaky, but it did dry down. And I think the color is really, really beautiful, and it matched well with the whole look. But yeah, that comes to the end of the video. I really like this palette. I definitely recommend it. If you want to see me do another tutorial with it, let me know in the comments below. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, subscribe if you aren't already, and I'll see you in my next one.
I just wanna give you all my